We are told Luke Fickell is ready, so out to Columbus we go, where Dave Revsine is standing by. Dave?
Mike, thanks a lot. Coach, we appreciate you taking some time to sit down with us here today. I know it's been kind of a whirlwind for you. What have these last few months been like?
We know it's all happened so fast. That's probably been the most exciting thing about it. I haven't had a whole lot of time to think about anything that you would do different, or really any time to gather your thoughts and to think of what the whole situation is. We just have really hit the ground running, being 2 weeks now today, and continue to move forward.
Yeah, going back even to when you thought you were going to be the interim coach. So at that point you had, where you were just going to do the 5 games. At that point you had a little bit of time, I assume, to talk to Coach Tressel about it. And what was your thought then?
We know the unique thing about that was there was a 5-game time that I was going to be the head coach, but we really had not even talked about it. We hit the road recruiting. I was out for basically 5 weeks pretty much straight, and we had plans to come back off the road recruiting and have a bunch of meetings. We had already had them set up, from meetings with me and him for a couple days, as well as with the administration, just to lay out our plan of how we were going to attack it, but we never quite got to that.
You mentioned 2 weeks now since Coach Tressel's resignation. What was your initial reaction when you found out that was happening?
You know, I really didn't have any time to think about it. I was told probably 8 o'clock in the morning, and in the same breath, in the same sentence, I was asked to fill in his spot. And so I really have not had time to really reflect and think much about it. Again, like we said, all of a sudden it was kind of a whirlwind, and all we could think about was our kids and what we needed to do to move forward.
Have you spoken to Coach since he resigned?
I spoke to him that afternoon, later that day, and he just expressed his love for Ohio State, the same as I have, and his support for me, for our coaching staff, and the entire team.
What else did you talk to him about?
Really haven't talked to him about much. The unique thing is pretty much asking as many coaches as I can, in the time in which we have had. They've all kind of said the same thing, and that's the same thing he told me that day, was be yourself.
Who are some of the other coaches that you've reached out to?
Well, just here at the university, I've talked with Coach Thad Matta for a bit. There's a good resource here, knows a bit more of the ins and outs of Ohio State. But Jim Lambright is one that comes to mind. A similar situation probably in the 90s out at the University of Washington. It has been offered some good insight. Actually, just yesterday I sat down with Coach Frank Solich from Ohio University that was unbelievable, with some insight to the things that, the situation in which he had might be a bit different at Nebraska, but had some great insight as to things that to look forward to and to be aware of here in the future.
What was the biggest thing you took from Coach Solich?
Again, probably to a T, every single person I've talked to, the big theme has been be yourself. Do what you do, don't change, don't try and be somebody else.
Who is yourself? What do you do?
If you don't know, I'm a high energy, energetic, enthusiastic competitor. I think that's what I've been since the time I came here to Ohio State. Haven't changed in all different roles that I've been in, and going to try, obviously, to continue to do that same passion, that same energy day in and day out.
It's an unusual position to be in, obviously, and as you say, there aren't a whole lot of precedents to it. It's difficult, though, any time that a team loses its head coach, whether it's in circumstances like this one or far different circumstances. How has the team reacted to this news?
We really haven't had a whole lot of time together. It was kind of unique when it happened Monday that we actually had a team meeting that night, or a team workout that night. So the mood was a little bit eerie at times, but the best thing that could have happened to us was we had the ability to just go out, attack a great workout, show some leadership by us and the coaching staff standing in front of everybody, and really just allow them to get their emotions out in a great workout. We had that for 2 nights straight. And I think that we came together and saw what the team was all about those 2 nights.
Have you had any individual interactions with players where you've talked about this stuff?
We've sat down with the seniors mostly. We haven't truly sat down with each and every kid individually or each class individually yet. We want to make sure that we've got the leadership set. And I think that was a big step for us as a coaching staff, to make sure that we could step up, I could stand up and be in front of them and make sure they understand, they know who I am and what I'm about, and just make sure that we can reiterate to them we still have the same foundation and we know where we're going.
What was the nature of those conversations of the guys you have spoken with, of those seniors? What were the concerns they expressed?
You know, we wanted them to release their emotions a little bit. We all hurt, but they understand the situation. They understand what Ohio State is all about. It's about being so much bigger than any one team or one coach or even one situation. And I think that's where we want to attack, because those seniors know so much more about what it's been about being here, and they can convey that message to our younger crowd as long as they can walk the walk.
I think one of the things that people have wondered externally is how you're going to deal with some of these potential divisions in the locker room. There was one quote that was played fairly prominently, an anonymous player who said, "It really sucks Coach Tress had to take the fall for a couple of idiots' mistakes." How do you deal with emotions like that?
You know, we're not here to judge, and I'm not here to point fingers, and I don't know who it is. There's a fine line between reality and perception. What the perception is out there is one thing. The reality of it is we are one, and I really believe that. I think our seniors have done an unbelievable job so far, but that's where we're going to have to attack and move forward with this team.
What did you think of Terrell's decision not to come back?
You know, I never really spoke with Terrell. I haven't had the opportunity to sit down and even talk with him. And again, for us as a team, as a coaching staff, we got to focus on the things that which we have and not the things that we've lost. So we wish him well. We will encourage him to continue to get his education and graduate from the Ohio State University. But we're going to try and focus on the things that we can control.
How does that change your position just in terms of the quarterback situation?
Oh, I think that's the exciting thing about it. You know, we lost 24 seniors last year, and each and every year we lose guys from graduation or leaving early to the NFL. That's the exciting thing about being at Ohio State. The expectation level doesn't change. We always try and refer to the next man up, and to have those four guys to be able to come into fall camp ready to compete, to see a light at the end of the tunnel, to be ready to lead a team. That's the exciting thing about this.
We were talking about Terrell, and obviously there's been a ton of publicity about his situation. How much did you know about what was going on with Terrell?
You know, that's the thing. We all have our responsibilities. We have our tasks at hand, and I was not aware of anything until it became public.
Do you think the proper safeguards are in place within the program?
You know, we're going to take a thorough and methodical look at this. I mean, it's not a quick fix solution. We know that we've got to do a great job at investigating and figure out how we can get better. And I think that's our biggest focus right now. It's not about coming up with one solution right away. It's about how we can get better each day so that we get this corrected in the long run.
What's your sense of what went wrong? Where did the ball get dropped here?
You know, again, those are things I don't really know as much about. Again, we've got to do a better job at communicating. We will do a better job, obviously, with compliance, but again, it's going to be about that thorough investigation of how we can get better at all the different aspects of compliance, as well as, you know, the ins and outs of everything we need to study.
What has your message been to the players about some of the stuff that's gone down?
You know, really, we've just focused on, hey, guys, let's have respect. We understand the situation at hand right now. Let's respect each other. Let's respect the people for what the job they have to do. We all love it when they shove cameras in our face after we win the Rose Bowl or score a touchdown. But none of us enjoy it when they shove a camera in our face wondering about something that has happened. So we have to make sure we remind ourselves of that, have respect for one another, and most importantly, have respect for our own teammates to make sure we handle the situation correctly.
It's an interesting situation for you, obviously, on so many different levels, and we've touched on some of them. But one we haven't talked about is the fact that you're a Columbus kid. You mentioned you were born right here in Columbus, raised here as an Ohio State fan, obviously played here for 5 years. What does Ohio State mean to you?
Well, I think it was when I was 10 years old. I had a Little League football coach, John Hicks, who was a former Outland Trophy winner here at Ohio State. Took me to Ohio Stadium for my first ever Ohio State-Michigan game. And that was something I never forgot. We were down on the field, got to watch the teams run out. I mean, from then on, I kind of had a feeling I knew what a Buckeye really was. But then after coming here and spending 5 years and understand the depths of all the history and all the traditions and how that's a huge family and people will take care of you the rest of your life, you've got a connection with guys from the early 1900s that are still alive till the future. It's so much deeper. It's hard to explain, but it is a true brotherhood.
What, as you look at this team and what you've got coming back and all the challenges ahead of you, what are your goals for this team?
Well, it starts by day to day. We got to make sure we attack the situations we have at hand. We're not trying to say, hey, what's our long-term goals right now? We understand our situation. We're going to talk to the team about leading the nation in 3 categories. It'll be about effort, turnovers, and toughness. And we believe that's the formula we need to move forward and plan for our future here at Ohio State.
It's interesting, you talk about those 3 categories, and 2 of them are kind of intangibles, effort and toughness, and one of them is pure statistic in turnovers. Why are turnovers so important? Why is that the one statistic you focus on?
Well, we all know that it's about turnovers. That links the offense, the defense, and the special teams. And we're always going to continue to talk about being one. I didn't say there was something that was tangibly measurable, but it's something that we're going to focus on each and every day.
How about for you personally? I mean, you get a chance to, in essence, audition for this job. What are your goals personally?
You know, again, we're not looking at it as an audition. We got plans for the future, and that's what we've told our kids. You know, we want them to feel comfortable with what we're doing. We know here at Ohio State, it's an audition every day. That's the thing we're trying to stress to them, about embracing that expectation, that competitive nature that you have to have each and every day. The world is rough. The world is tough out there, and that's what we want them to understand. When they leave here, they're prepared for anything possible.
You talk about expectations. You've used that word a lot. Have you gotten a sense of what the expectations are here internally from your bosses for you?
Have not talked about those things. We know, I've been here for over 9 years now. I played here for 5. I grew up here since I was born. The expectation level at Ohio State doesn't change. That's the way we look at it. We'll attack, be aggressive on every single day, knowing what our expectation level is, and then handling the situations that arise.
How do you think all of what has happened here has impacted the perception nationally of Ohio State?
You know, again, we're going to try and focus on the things that we can control. You know, if there's something, there's a fine line again between reality and perception. We know we want to put our best product on the field in 2011 and do the best job we can off the field, and everything else in between we're going to get better at daily.
I hear you, but I mean, at the same time, this is a special place for you. I mean, you know it's been dragged through the mud a little bit. How does that impact you?
You know, obviously, it's disappointing at times, but again, we believe that Ohio State is so much bigger than any one team, one player, and one situation. It's so deep-rooted. We still believe that year in and year out, we're going to attract the best student athletes around the country, and that's what we feel about Ohio State.
As you've been out talking to players, recruiting, as all of this has been going down, how have you seen it impacted?
We haven't seen any negative effect just yet. I really believe that. Since I've been here, since I went here, we've sold Ohio State University and the values of the university. And that hasn't changed. It's so deep-rooted. We continue to stress about how much bigger it is. We never talked about any one thing when we recruited guys 10 years ago. And that's still the focus of who we are. We want them to understand that there's a foundation here, a foundation set long before any of this. There'll be a foundation that could carry us through these situations. But again, it's about Ohio State University, and we believe that we will continue to attract the best student athletes around the country.
You're about to meet the media for the first time as the head football coach at Ohio State. What's the biggest message you want to convey?
I think I just want to make sure that we understand that we're going to be back to what we believe is how we can move forward in the future of Ohio State. It'll be about respect, toughness, and for us being men of action. Not about our words, but about the actions that we put on and off the field.
Coach, appreciate you taking a few minutes to sit down with us. Great to meet you. We look forward to working with you here in the future.
Thank you.
Now let's go back to the studio now.